Welcome back to Drugs and Stuff with Dave Crosland. I'm Scott McNally. This program is brought to you by TrueNutrition.com. You can use our code ADVICES at checkout for additional savings. Dave Crosland, it's been a while, man. How you been?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Had a bit of a mad week last week, but it was definitely very enjoyable. Went up to Iceland for a few days.
Oh, yeah. So how was that?
Brilliant. Tiring. Squeezed a lot in, but absolutely brilliant. So we flew over on the Wednesday.
Okay.
So it was a 4 a.m. start for us. Landed, weren't allowed off the plane for 2 hours because it was too windy. And they couldn't get the steps up to the plane.
You're kidding me.
No. Wow. So we actually sat in a tin can full of other people's farts for 2 hours.
Oh, jeez.
But, I mean, it wasn't too bad. Got off. Did a little bit of just sort of around Reykjavik on the Wednesday. An who was meeting us over there, who judges for World's Strongest Man.
Okay.
He took us around Reykjavik, showed us a bit of the sights of the city and that. And then that afternoon, I did a couple of training sessions, and then we did a seminar at Jacobol, which translates to, well, it says Nest of Giants, but I think it should really more be the birthplace of giants.
Okay.
But that's Magnus Magnusson's gym, four-time world man.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember. So you were going there to do a talk, right?
Yeah, we did a seminar there. And then on the Thursday, we got taken to the geysers, and we got taken to the Golden Circle, which is a big waterfall complex. Huh. And then we got taken to a few odd bits that you wouldn't normally see on a sightseeing tour. So there's this. We went down this road for what seemed like ever, and there was a very high cliff face to the right hand side with a lot of boulders that had come down. I mean, some of these boulders were 25 foot across.
Wow.
They're massive. And anyway, he said, you've got to look out for the house. And right at the end of this road, at the bottom of this cliff face, is this house.
Huh.
And apparently this house has been there longer than these boulders that have come down have, and they've all landed around it and never hit the house. And these boulders are bigger than the house.
Yeah.
Surrounded by these huge boulders that have fallen down, they're bigger than the house, and they've never actually landed on it. And now they're protecting it from any further falling.
Okay.
It's just absolutely mad to see this little house tucked in among all these huge boulders that have fallen down.
And have people lived there this whole time? Or?
Yeah,
oh, God.
Yeah, there's people there. They're a bit nuts over there. They are a bit mad. And so we did the sightseeing sort of all day Thursday, and then flew back on the Friday. Good trip. Nice. Enjoyed it. Went to see Jean-Paul Sigmarsson's grave as well.
Who's that?
Jean-Paul Sigmarsson, World's Strongest Man from way back when.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you don't remember all this stuff.
I have unfortunately, very little education on strength and like the World's Strongest Man stuff. I know more about like 90s bodybuilders and, stuff like that. Guys that just look strong.
You know Bill Kazmaier, won't you?
Of course, yes.
Jean-Paul Sigmarsson was the era when Bill Kazmaier was competing.
Oh, okay.
And Jean-Paul has been inducted into the Strongman Hall of Fame along with Magnus Magnuson. But nice. Jean-Paul died, he was only 23 when he died.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, but he had I think he might have even had as much as four titles.
Oh, wow.
So he died very, very young. But Anaru was my host for the 3 days. We used to train with Jean-Paul and Magnus. They all trained together.
Okay. Man, that'd be something else.
Yeah, so he was telling a lot of stories, some which I can't repeat.
Yeah.
About some of the mad shit that's gone on when they've been away competing and stuff like that.
I bet.
But it was a good trip. But I must admit I was knackered when I got back. But it was stunning country, absolutely stunning country.
That's everything I hear about it, man. There's so many different geological things happening at once. Between having snow to rainforests, I believe, to volcanoes, it's ridiculous, man. It's crazy.
It's not got a lot of trees, so I don't know where you heard that one from.
No, it's not. Got a lot of trees okay, then I'm making stuff up here, but I know that there's volcanoes.
They have a saying in Iceland apparently that if you get lost in the forest, just stand up.
Nice. So not a lot of trees. What do you see then? Just like a lot of grasses and rocks and.
Yeah, it's mainly rocks, grasses. There's obviously moving glaciers in Iceland. It's an active volcano system, and it's got glacier movement as well. So when you go up onto the high plateaus where we were on the Thursday, it was just snow and ice as far as you could see.
Yeah.
But with hot streams running through it, which is quite mad because the groundwater's heated by the volcanic action underneath the island.
That's crazy, man.
It is quite mad. Not every stream's like that, but there are streams that are actually like standing. I mean, we were sat in I'd call it a hot tub for want of anything else at the hotel.
Okay.
-4 and snowing, and the water temperature was 40-odd degrees. And that water was coming straight out of the ground.
You're kidding me.
No, it was heated by the ground.
Wow. Wait, did you see any penguins while you were there? I hear there's penguins. No
penguins. They get the odd polar bear that gets stranded on the island. They've got foxes.
Okay.
They don't have a massive plethora of wildlife. They don't have much at all. But it's a very expensive country, unfortunately. I mean, we got a bowl of soup that cost me the equivalent of about $16, $17.
Oh, wow.
For a bowl of soup.
Wow. That's like, we should be spending here $3 maybe on soup?
Yeah, it is an expensive country.
Wow.
But it's stunning. Absolutely stunning.
And it's awesome, too, that you had an opportunity because of the job that you created for yourself. You can travel around and do that kind of stuff. Like, you kind of created your own life. I think that's pretty awesome.
There's days I get up. Yesterday was one of them, and it was just like, oh, God.
Yeah.
But moments like that is like, you know what? I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't doing what I do.
Yeah.
And the other thing with Iceland as well, because it only has a population of 350,000. But they've got a health minister who's recently changed steroid law in Iceland, and it's a bit weird in that he stated you're allowed 10 items, but hasn't clarified if that's 10 single vials or 10 packets or 10 boxes or whatever it is.
10 tabs of D-ball.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bit of confusion about it, but one of the clients who I work with over there is related to this guy.
Okay.
So he's got me his email address.
Oh.
And when you rang, I was actually in the process of putting the email together to send him because I'm going to try and do some work with the government over there.
That could be interesting.
Because they have no supportive services whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now, the vast majority of users are more than happy to pay for blood testing and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The doctors won't do it, but they don't even have a private service where they can go and get blood testing done.
No kidding. Huh.
There's nothing. So my proposal is roughly going to be, look, can we work together and can we look at doing some sort of subsidised or individual paid services through, because they have a national health scheme anyway, they have a national health service, but where extra testing can be paid for by the individual so they can monitor and track and keep themselves safe.
Yeah.
The whole argument is that because you're not going to allow people to take responsibility for their health, what you're actually doing is creating a bigger financial burden on your national health system.
By not letting people stay in shape to begin with, you're saying?
Well, no, it's just that because these people are getting ill, then becoming responsibility of the National Health Service.
I see, yeah.
Where if they could access service, even if they had to pay for it, independently, they could keep a better eye on their health and never get to the point where they've got a health problem.
So what you're telling me is now I just did labs yesterday. I paid for them myself. I went online and I used one of the private services we have here in the U.S. Minus, I think, 6 states you can't do it. Like New York is one of them. But I just print that stuff out. I take it down to a lab where they'll take my blood. And then now I'm going to get an email in the next day or two to give me all my results. You can't do that over there is what you're telling me.
No.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is allow users to do it through the doctors, but charge them for the service. And then you don't put extra burden on your national health scene financially for the testing being done, but they take better responsibility for their own health so they don't become a burden to your national health system later on in life because they've messed themselves up.
Yeah.
Because they haven't had the opportunity to test their bloods and monitor their health, because you have no support services at all, nothing.
Right.
And the gym culture over there's ballooned. I mean, I haven't been over there for 15 years. Last time I went over there, the population of Iceland was 200,000.
Okay.
And it's changed so much since last time I was there.
So it's like a third bigger? Did you say 350 now?
Yeah, so it's nearly double its size.
That's crazy, man.
Population, and it shows in the city. The city is so much bigger than it used to be. But the gyms have expanded massively, and obviously going to the gym has become very, very popular.
Okay.
They've already got a very rich history in strength sports with strongman and powerlifting anyway. But also with Hathor, World's Strongest Man, and his action in Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
They've also got a huge growing population of users.
Okay.
But they have nothing to help them keep themselves safe, even if they want to.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I've got a client who can't even get TRT off his doctor, even though he's medically needing it.
Yeah.
He's on his arse. He's absolutely dying.
No kidding.
He can't get TRT. So I'm trying to make some, whether it'll go anywhere or not, but the unique thing about Iceland is, because it is so small, people are very accessible.
Yeah.
So you could drive to the president's house.
Okay.
You can drive past his front door,
Yeah.
And you can get access to people a lot easier. So communicating with officials isn't as difficult from a red tape point of view as it is like over with you or as it is for us here.
Yeah.
You can bump into these people in the street.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
And so, as a result of that, it's a lot easier to get to speak to the person you need to speak to. So I've actually got his personal email, and I'm just in the process of writing the email now.
Hell yeah.
To see if we can get something jacked up together. It'd be great if we can. I mean, hopefully it will help services over there, but obviously it's another expansion of me as a business as well, which is part of the motivation.
Yeah. So, I just want to jump back in, too, because we have a bunch of people that are watching us now. Guys, if you are watching us at home, we are recording Drugs and Stuff. I believe this is episode 21. The latest episode of the audio podcast just came out. What we're going to do nowadays is we are going to shoot this on video. We're going to pump it out to Facebook Live while it's happening. It'll also be documented so that we can put the recorded version up over at YouTube. And then, of course, the audio podcast will be taken from this, just as we've always done. We have a bunch of questions from the Advices message boards, but before we get to that, last week, Dave, we had talked about this new peptide. I actually just had pulled this up. I had it on my phone here because I was reading a little bit about it. Selank? How do you say it? Selank.
Yeah, I think it's Selank.
Selank.
I think it's... Oh, Scott, I'm well known for not pronouncing shit properly, so all right. It could be something completely fucking different.
But you have some more information about this peptide now, right?
Yeah, well, not so much information as in from a research point of view, but as in actual real life.
Okay.
So, as we've discussed before, my daughter's had a bit of a substance abuse problem with marijuana.
Yeah.
She's a bit of a weed addict, to be fair. Now, she has drastically reduced her usage, but she was still getting cravings and still having a few issues and hiccups. And as a result of a long-term weed use, her memory wasn't the best and her focus and concentration wasn't the best.
Sure.
So we've been trialing this with her for the last week. And she said her memory and her focus and her clarity of thought seems to have improved quite well.
Huh.
But she said what was strange was her desire to use, her craving to use. She says, I still have a mental desire to use.
Yeah.
I still have that mental association with use. She's like, oh, I've had a rough day, I want to chill out, I want to join.
Sure.
But she said, I don't have the physical craving to use that I used to have. Like you'd get with cigarettes where you're absolutely desperate for a cig and you get quite irritable because you've not had nicotine.
Yeah.
She was like that with weed. That's gone.
Huh.
She said that's completely gone.
Huh.
So now it's just a case of willpower rather than in the sense of just mentally saying, no, I don't need it to cope with the day, rather than a physical need to have the drug anymore.
Huh.
So That was I'd heard and read that it had been trialed and used in some rehab treatments for drug use.
Okay.
But the information I'd got was sketchy, and it wasn't really particularly clear on what substance misuse it was related to or anything like that. But I found that both quite surprising, but quite a positive thing, that it helped with the physical cravings of what she was desiring to do all the time. I mean, the good stuff, it's past all clinical trials for human consumption. It's going into production, so it's not like we're not messing around with a peptide that is just a research chemical. This thing has had tons and tons of trials done on it.
Yeah.
And currently, there's no danger of overdose. There's no danger of any negatives from the stuff at all. And she's using a relatively low dose as well. I mean, she's on 200 micrograms a day for 10 days. Okay. You can go as high as 3 grams a day if you wanted to.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So it's got a big range of possibilities.
And I did read that no risk of overdose so far is what they're seeing. I saw another thing, drug addiction being the big thing, but also just anxiety in general. I've heard that's also something people are considering it for. There was like a list of 10 things when I looked online that, let me see, 14 potential effects that I had seen on it. And this is just from an article I'm looking at. I mean, I don't know. But you can get this. So it's TP7. I guess is what it's called technically, TP7. This is interesting, man. So I guess it binds to the GABA receptor. It says most compounds that bind to the GABA receptor cause a sedative effect. In mice treated with this, more activity. Let's see. Huh. I'm not sure what this means. It says researchers discovered more activity in inhibitory neurons, which rely on GABA. This resulted in less brain activity. So it settled your brain down, is what I guess it's saying.
Yeah, it stops. Like, one of the things with anxiety is that your brain is firing all over the place.
Okay.
You know, so paranoia and anxiety, you're running through a million scenarios at once in your head, which leads to panic. Anxiety is effectively a panic attack. I mean, that's one of the ways we use to describe an anxiety attack is a panic attack.
Yeah.
It's where your brain will just start going off on tangents and completely uncontrollable. This helps that all calm and settle down, so it focuses and channels your brain more constructively. It reduces symptoms of anxiety and depression, but it's also a neurostimulant as well in other areas in the brain. So it's not you're not talking something like
Adderall.
Yeah, you're not talking that level of stimulant.
Right.
It's more just a mild clarity.
Huh. Here's an interesting thing, because it sounds like this is because they still aren't sure on where it works. It says, in some mice, it increased norepinephrine, but decreased dopamine and serotonin. In other mice, it increased norepinephrine and dopamine and did not change serotonin. Therefore, its exact effect or mechanism is still not clear.
No, it's not. But they've trialed it, and the results are still coming back the same. It's having the same positive effect on the user. They're just not quite sure on the mechanism that causes it to do so. But they've recorded no abnormal effects at all.
That's interesting. Well, definitely keep me posted. You know, I'd be curious to hear what happens long term for your daughter, and if she, say, continues to get the effect after she stops. Is she only going to run it for 10 days?
Yeah, she stops on Friday, and as it happens, she goes away on Friday to start her new job.
Okay.
So she's going to a local, well, not too local, but she's going to an amusement park,
nice.
Which also has a campsite and has a zoo, and she's going to be working as part of the security team there.
Oh, cool, man. That's cool.
So she's going to be living on site.
Okay.
Which is one of the reasons why she's taking the job, because it's a break-in environment to give her a new, fresh, clean environment with plenty of stuff going on around her to keep her occupied as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it all goes on. But I will keep you posted. Yeah. I'm going to give it a myself anyway. So
okay. And good luck to you, Little Miss Crosland, out there in the world. She's going to be at this amusement park. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of kids smoking weed there. So stick with the right people while you're there.
It's very much a family park.
Okay, yeah.
Or younger end and mums and dads than it is, But obviously, weed smoking happens everywhere in the world. It's not like it's anything particularly unusual these days, is it? The
teenage kids that are all running the damn place are in the back alley or whatever, smoking a joint in between their breaks and all that. Hey, what do you say we take a quick break and come back and answer some questions?
Yeah, no problem at all.
All right, guys, we'll be back in just a second. We don't have any video commercials, Dave. We'll have to work on that.
We have to act now.
You need anything? Want to grab some water or anything like that?
See?
What do you got your tea?
It's on sale in the foyer.
Oh, nice. I'm double fisting here. I have this sparkling ice beverage, and I have my, let's see, I got to get them both in this. There we go. And I got my water, so I'm good. All right.
I don't think you should have used the term double fisting myself. But
that's an American term, I guess. That is a term we use when you have two drinks, like at a bar. They call it, which obviously I know where you're going with that, but yeah.
I've never heard it used in any other term apart from pornographic. So
oh my God, a double fisting, that would be super graphic. All right.
Okay, moving on.
Yes.
Before Facebook shuts us down.
All right, family-friendly show here, guys. All right, guys, welcome back to Drugs and Stuff with Dave Crosland. I'm Scott McNally, and we are over in the thread. As a matter of fact, I wonder, Dave, I'm going to see something here. If I bring up my Skype window, I think I can go to share screen, and I can even bring up, look at that. I'm not sure if you can see what I'm seeing now.
I can't see anything that you're seeing. I've got your face all over my computer, but I've not got anything.
Okay, never mind. Oh, wait, there's start sharing now. Let's see.
Yeah, no, I can see you now, yeah.
Can you see the video stuff that I'm putting up here? Are the questions?
Hi, guys, love the show. Bagel Ninja.
Yeah, Bagel Ninja.
Theron Danger. Yeah, I'm seeing them.
All right. So, guys, I just want to give you a heads up.
How much shit have you got running on your computer, young man?
We're running the program right now, which you're seeing. But, guys, if you are at the forum, it looks like this. Actually, we're going to start from the front because I've never actually been able to walk people through it. We'll see if my computer will take us there. So we're at advicesradio.com. We got the forum button right over there. Can you see that, Dave? On the screen? Yep. Click on the forum button, and then from there in the bodybuilding section, which is the third one down here, there are stickies at the top of each, at the top of the threads. We are going into the drugs and stuff thread right now. You guys can ask your questions there, and yeah, that's about it. So I'm going to bring everything back here now. Let's see. How do I do this?
Oh, before I forget.
Yeah.
I'm now doing 3 talks at Body Power.
Oh, you're kidding me. But, so you're going to do the PED talk, of course.
I'm doing 3 PED talks. 1 Friday, 1 Saturday, and 1 Sunday.
Oh, no kidding, man.
So we're going to do steroids in the brain.
Okay.
And mental health. We're going to do something that's going to be entitled The Secret Formula.
Okay.
Which is going to be, basically, there isn't one.
Nice.
But go through basically what various drugs do and how they interact and their side effects and management and that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then we're going to do blast, cruise, and general endocrine management.
Okay. So
that will start with how your endocrine system works, how you affect it when you shut it down using gear, and then what the effects are, long-term and short-term against the 2 processes.
How long are each of these talks scheduled for?
They should be an hour in total, which will be about 40 minutes of me blabbing on about a lot of bollocks, and then 20 minutes of people giving me shit and questions.
Okay, nice, man. That's cool. So each section that you do is going to have a period of time for Q&A.
Yes.
That's awesome, man. Good for you.
So I've got an hour slot for each one.
Okay. Also, if we have time at the end, I found our thread of slang.
Oh, good.
So I brought that up. It was I think Tomas Evans that had sent that over to us, and I found that like literally right after we recorded last time. So we got our slang back. He also had an update. Are you familiar with what was this term? It's not shepherd's pie, cottage pie.
Yes.
You know what a cottage pie is?
Yes, one has cheese on top, one does not. One's with lamb and one is with beef, I believe.
That's what he said. He said shepherd's pie is always with lamb. That's what he said. Because I said I had a shepherd's pie that my girlfriend had made me. We used beef. So
that's
cottage
pie.
Cottage pie. So I had a cottage pie. So thank you, Tomas. I think it's Tomas is how you say his name. It's Tomas. So it's either that or Thomas. But
that sounds Polish or sort of that ilk. That's how the Polish spell Thomas.
Is it?
Thomas. Yeah.
He's over there. He's getting ready. He's over there with you. I saw him, well, not directly with you, but he's not far away because the UK is really not that big. He said, I think this weekend he's going to give a talk at the same venue where Body Power will be. I don't know what that talk is.
That's the NEC then, yeah.
Okay, he's going to be there for that, and he's doing something, and he's a listener of the show. Anyway, I'm going back to the questions here, and now I got to find where I'm at. There we are. Hey guys, love the show. Quick caveat: I know 99. Wait, did we do this one?
I don't know. I've got no memory. Remember, I've taken too many drugs.
We got to get you on that C-Link or whatever it is. Okay, yeah, we did do this question, so I'm going to skip down. I had jumped around a little bit last time to get to the questions we had used. Hey guys, I want to thank you for answering my question last week. I now have a couple more follow-up questions. I will, again, attach my blood work and state that blood work was from a HRT cruise at 200 milligrams test E weekly and 12.5 milligrams Aromacin every other day. 1, Dave suggested that my blood work showed that my testosterone was a bit under what he would have expected for a 200 milligram weekly dose. Would I be correct in assuming that with the 12.5 milligrams of Aromacin I was taking every other day, along with the 200 milligrams of Test E weekly, that perhaps the reason my testosterone levels could have been lower than expected may be because I aromatized the testosterone into estrogen at a higher rate than the average person would have? It is my understanding that 12.5 milligrams every other day is a relatively high dose of Aromacin for the amount of testosterone taken. I had issues with gyno in the past and recently had surgery to remove the damage I caused in my early 20s, gynecomastia. So
Give me 2 seconds. Give me
sure.
2 seconds. Sorry.
No worries. Guys, this is what happens when we're doing a live show.
Wait, come on.
Oh, sounds like Dave's got his dogs.
Come on.
Maybe if we're lucky, he'll pick a bulldog up and show him to us on the screen.
Oh, do you want to see the new idiot?
I do.
You want to see the new idiot?
I do.
Come here.
Oh my gosh, we're about to see a bulldog, guys.
Come here, you fat git. No, he won't go, so you have to get the old one.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, look at that face. Look at that face.
Funny.
His head is as big as yours, Dave. He's giant. He's a beautiful dog. How old is he?
He's 2.5.
Oh, so he's still a baby.
He's only got 1 brain cell. And this one, Louis. This one's got no brain cells. He won't come near me. He's the one we've just taken in, but he's a bit timid.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about that.
No
Right.
worries. Did you want me to repeat that question?
So what he was saying was he felt that his test may be a little bit low because his aromatase rate may be high.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that he's having to use 12.5 milligrams of Aromacin every other day to control his estrogen.
Right.
Well, aromasin is a suicide inhibitor.
Okay.
Which means it binds with aromatase. Doesn't touch estrogen, it actually binds with the aromatase enzyme. So that would reduce his conversion of test to estrogen. So if anything, his test levels should be pushed higher when using aromasin. Because less test is being converted.
Okay.
So in short, no. I don't feel that the amount of aromatization is lowering his test because he has already reduced the amount of rotations going on using aromasin.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think the thing we were saying last time was, so let me see here. I have his labs right in front of me here. In fact, I think I can even throw them up on the screen here. Boom. They are on the screen right now. People at home can see them. Testosterone, it says, and I don't know this range, but we are looking at 22.7 on a scale of 7.6 to 31.
That sounds like a UK scale, and 22.7 would be normal for a male up to the age of about 40, 45.
Okay. And so are you saying that this is fine? This is...
Well, what was he taking amount of test a week?
I think he said 200 or 250.
See, I would expect that to take him out of range.
Okay.
Now, it is possible that if
200.
If he's been a very long-term steroid user,
yeah,
that his body is dealing with the hormone a little bit faster than normal.
Okay.
Which is causing his levels to be a little bit lower.
Yeah.
But you would normally get ranges like that off around 125, 130 sort of mig a week. So 200 I'd expect to push him out of range. But, I mean, there are people that are on 200 and on 250 a week and still stay close to range. But my first instinct would be that the potential of the drugs to be slightly underdosed. We're not talking massively here.
Yeah.
You know, we're only talking a few points out, so we're not talking huge underdosing issues. It's not like he's injecting water. But I would have expected his test to be higher on 200 a week.
And then his he also sent us his estrogen, which I'm pulling that up too again. So estrogen is also a range I'm not familiar with. 101 on a scale of 0 to 192.
That's not bad.
Okay. So
that's not bad.
So he's in it. So for having taken 12.5 every other day of aromasin and taking 200 milligrams, his test levels are a little bit on the low side, but he's also not converting too much either, you're saying?
No, I mean, his estrogen's okay.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see what they were without the aromasin.
Yeah.
But I got a set of bloods through this morning. The guy's on 250 a week, so granted he's on slightly more.
Yeah.
No, ignore that. He'd taken trend the week before. That's what screwed his estrogen levels up. I remember now. Yeah, wouldn't be viable. But the ranges that you see in people varies massively. It really does. I've got a client on 250 a week, taking 12.5 of aromasin, exactly the same protocol he's on, but 250 tests a week, and he's pulling back at 91.
Yeah.
On his
Would you have run into situations where people test higher due to being on trend? There's no way really around that, is there? Like, if you want to check your estrogen and you're on trend, you can't really tell, can you?
There is a more advanced test that can differentiate between estrogen and tren, but it's not readily available. It's difficult to get hold of, so for most people it's just not an option.
Okay.
So generally speaking, if you're on tren, you're full. You're not going to be able to test your estrogen levels and get anything of a sensible reading out of them.
Yeah.
You either have to drop the 10 for a period of time till it clears your system, or set your management before you add tren into the cycle.
Yeah, and just to be clear for anybody who isn't familiar with what we're talking about, what kind of numbers have you seen, Dave, when somebody's on trend? Their estrogen number, it can read as estrogen, right? And like, what are we talking? What have you seen number wise?
I remember one. I won't say his name, but he's quite an accomplished amateur bodybuilder.
Okay.
He messaged me, and his estrogen was 900 and something.
Right.
Bear in mind, our upper scale's 190.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck? I said that was, are you on trend? He went, yeah. And when we looked at it, it was fine. But regularly see estrogen levels 400, 500, 600, 700 when people are on trend.
Okay. He had a follow-up question here then, second question. So he says, question number 2, I am planning on running my next 14-week cycle. 400 milligrams of Test E weekly, 600 milligrams of Mast E weekly, 200 milligrams of Tren E weekly, 12.5 Aromacin every other day. Going by my attached blood results from taking 200 milligrams of Test for HRT, would you guess that the 400 milligrams Test E I am planning on cycling with next? Would you put me at the appropriate superficial level that I would want to be at in my cycle? Or would I possibly want to go higher than 400 milligrams to achieve the blood levels that would be most favorable? Is this enough Test, basically?
Yeah, I'd say it's strange that he's considering increasing his Test instead of lowering his Aromacin.
Yeah?
Shut up! My apologies.
That's not very British of you, Dave.
Live on camera, dog gets throttled. This is how professional we are, guys. Normally all this shit gets edited out.
You wouldn't see this. You wouldn't know. But now you know. Now you know it all. Behind the scenes.
The big issue in this setup is if the Masteron is genuine, which is always a problematic issue with Masteron. It's one of them drugs that unfortunately tends to be messed around with. Then he's going to get a decent anti-E hit from 600 megamast. So, is the 12.5 enough? Yeah, it may even be too much.
Really?
But what I would suggest is that he leaves the Tren out, does the first 3 weeks, tests, and then if everything's sorted, then adds the Tren in.
Okay.
Rather than stick the Tren in and try and go by feel from that point onwards, because he could. The problem is low estrogen levels are very symptomatic to high estrogen levels, especially when it comes to libido and sex drive and those sort of things. And so he could start having ED issues and end up completely crashing his estrogen because he's pushing his Aromacin too high, thinking he needs to come up.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Why, if that's the doses he's wanting to run, then why run more tests? Just lower your estrogen control because you have an item in there that you don't need in there, potentially if the Masteron's doing its job. So
I think his concern is, I think, though, that if he said, like, okay, so you thought that his levels should be a little bit higher than they are for the fact that he's taking 200 now. He's wondering if should he take 400 or more than 400? Like, if he gets to 400, is that going to bump him up to enough of like a super physiological dose to the point where he will then make the incredible gains he wants to? Or does he need to, say, take 600 in order to get his blood levels up? I think that's where he's going with it.
He's got 600 of Mast and 200 and Tren in there, so Test is only a small portion of the whole picture here.
Okay, yeah.
You know, we're not. If it was a test-only cycle, then I'd be, you know, you might need a bit more to really get those levels somewhere where you're operating correctly.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's got 600 of Mast. He's got 200 of Tren in there as well. Okay. So there's a bigger picture from the totality of the drugs. So I don't see an issue with raising his test levels any higher, unless he just wants to take more. But if he's been happy with his results up to present and what he's been doing, and it's only because we pointed out that looked low for his dosage, then his dosages that he's picked are in relation to what he's currently doing and what he's getting off that, and would be fair dosages. Why up them for the sake of it?
That makes sense. Fair enough. I'm going to move on to the next question. I'm on the next page here. This guy's he's in your area, kind of, Wales. How far is Wales from you?
Which bit?
I don't know. Like, just Wales, period. It just says UK, Wales.
I can hit the top of Wales in about an hour and a half.
Oh,
very
wow.
top.
Wow.
To hit the bottom of Wales would take me 6 hours.
Okay. Anyway, his name is Pike. He's got Pike 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is his username. This is his first question that he's asked us. He says, "Hi guys, long-time listener to the Advices podcasts, but just signed up to the forum as I'm not very technically minded. So sorry if this is a post in the wrong place." I don't know. We're about to find out. I have a question for Dave. Nope, looks like you got it right. "I'm from the UK, Wales. I have a holiday in Turkey coming, and as steroids are legal here for personal use, I was wondering on how I stand legally buying gear out there and bringing it back for personal use. I've brought gear back from Egypt without any issue. At the moment, I'm on license for a I don't know what this means, but anyway, it says bringing it back for personal use. Brought it from Egypt.
If he's on license, it means he's recently been, or in some period of time, been released from prison.
Oh.
But he has a license, because what happens in the UK, if you get sentenced to 5 years, you can 2.5 come out, but you spend a further 2.5 years on license.
Oh, okay. So we call that parole here.
Yes, so it's like parole. Yeah. So, but if you breach your license, you can be returned to serve the rest of that sentence before you would serve any future sentences.
Ooh, so not good.
But he is perfectly within his rights to bring steroids back from Turkey for personal use. The problem is there is no guideline as to what personal use is.
Okay.
And it would be down to the customs official that intercepted him to decide whether he thought personal use was viable or not. They are not the brightest buttons, and I know they recently confiscated 200 vials of MT2 and then wrote a letter to the owner of the MT2 and told him that they were steroids, and that's why he wasn't having them.
Oh.
They're a bit thick, and you then have to literally go to court to argue your case to get your goods back, which for most people just isn't worth the cost in exchange for the goods.
Yeah.
It's unlikely the prosecution would go, and most likely that what would happen if he came back with a large amount of drugs that customs felt were beyond personal use.
Yeah.
Drugs would be taken and he would be charged then by the local police constabulary in line with customs. And then he would argue his case in court as to whether they were personal or not, and a decision would be made based on that. So you can bring them back, and for the most part, they just aren't interested because they don't know fuck all about them, and they don't want to know fuck all about them because they've got too much on as it is. But you are within your right, but as I said, there is no guidelines. The closest thing I can find to any sort of indication is a clause in, I think it's the Medicines Act, which states you are allowed to bring back, and I might get this number wrong, but I think it's £347 worth of medicinal products for your own personal use. But otherwise, there is no guidelines whatsoever. So it is very much up to the interpretation of the customs official, if they even stop him in the first place. And that's the area.
Okay.
Chances of him stopping him are quite remote anyway. So if he's going to bring some back, just don't take the fucking piss.
Okay. What do you define that for? What does that mean? Don't take the fucking piss. I don't know what that means.
Don't come back with 50 bottles of Decker and then try and claim fucking use. That's what I mean.
That makes sense. Hey, he had a follow-up thing here, too. He said, "Thanks in advance. P.S. Scott's use of the word kip had me creased. Dave, tell Scott what creased is." Creased.
It means you're doubled up with laughter.
Creased.
So you're creasing up.
Oh, I get it. I get it. We had him creased because I said I needed a kip. I was feeling knackered.
From your busy days.
From my busy days, yes. Just a lot of bits and bobs that I had to take care of, Dave.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Who sent you that list? I'm going to find them and kill them.
Fuck, I'm gonna pull that list up now while we deal with our next question here. This is from Puddinhead. He's been a long-time participant over at the board. Thank you, Puddinhead, for always sending us questions. He says, "Good day, fellas. Loving the podcast. I have a question about the role of DHEA and pregnenolone in our overall hormone profile. I have heard, read, watched quite a bit of information lately about TRT doctors and other people in the field that recommend testing for and supplementing with these hormones when taking testosterone. Have you ever heard of any experience with this? A lot of these guys also recommend using HCG too. They don't take it to maintain fertility, but rather to keep a whole range of hormones in balance. Could you also please touch on the function of HCG for us old fellas who are on TRT forever? From what I have read, it is common practice in the U.S. to include HCG with TRT these days, as it maintains a whole host of important hormones. Excuse me. Thanks, gents." Got a lot in there, Dave. So, I mean, maybe we could start with DHEA.
Well, DHEA is obviously a hormone that's involved in the production of testosterone, and quite often DHEA supplement. Sulfate is used as a supplement to increase testosterone.
Okay.
It's DHEA is supplemented in women who suffer from androgen deficiency, which is quite a common problem. It's produced in the adrenal cortex, and there is what people don't realize is that when you take gear, we focus on our endocrine system as shutdown, but we produce steroids locally within the brain. We produce neurosteroids locally within the brain, and we produce some hormones via the adrenal gland. These also have receptors and are also sensitive to fluctuations in hormone level. So when you hang a couple hundred mg of testing, you can get shut down in these areas too. Now, from a cycle point of view, I would have said it's not really that big an issue. But when you're talking about a commitment to a drug use for 10, 15, 20 years, then deficiencies in these areas over time can obviously build up and create problems.
Yeah.
So what TRT doctors are starting to look at, and this is more general across the whole question here, is they're looking at all the hormones that are affected in shutdown. So we will have a reduction in HCG being produced. We will have a reduction in DHEA being produced. We'll have a reduction in pregnenolone being produced. So they look to supplement all the hormones that get shut down, because though tests can to some degree be the retro-converted, it doesn't really happen. So it's much more all-encompassing to supplement with all the different hormones that are affected by complete shutdown.
Yeah.
Now, in a cyclitic scenario where you're on for 8 to 12 weeks, whatever it is, PCT and coming off, we're not shutting these drugs down for extended periods of time. And the good thing about stuff like the adrenal gland is it's generally quite robust when it comes to its hormone production, which is one of the reasons why women don't struggle too much with shutdown from cycles. It does happen, and they can need a PCT, but in general they'll balance quite well because their hormone production is quite robust, because their testosterone production is based on their adrenal gland. So what they're looking at now is supplementing with all the aspects of that we stop producing when we introduce artificial testosterone. How important is it? I don't know, is the honest answer.
Okay.
I don't really know. It's not something I've spent a massive amount of time looking at. So what are the long-term withdrawals? Again, I don't really know. Most TRT patients that run HCG do report a general improvement in well-being. So there are obviously issues going on with HCG that are beyond just the general fertility side of things. But I'd have to actually specifically have a look before I could give any more of an in-depth answer than that, because I just don't know.
Okay. I know, so here's what I believe I understand on this, and I'm going to get some correction. I just sent a text to ask, but from what I understand, pregnenolone is at the top of the hormonal chain that breaks down into things like testosterone and further, and then I believe DHEA is at the bottom of that chain. And I have seen people that have had, in fact, I just talked to a guy recently, he had low DHEA. He supplements with, I think, 50 milligrams now. There was one guy I know who was having libido issues. His test levels were fine. Free test looked good. But it was the DHEA was the key. And he needed to bring that up. So, anyway, I'm just throwing that out there. This is some stuff that I've heard about, that I've seen with DHEA. I've seen Dr. Chrysler, who recently passed away. He was a big HRT guy here in Michigan, and kind of known worldwide. I work with a few people that had worked with him that had been supplementing with a low dose of DHEA with their HRT. So, I mean, I think it's worth checking, especially if you're having an issue. Like, that's one of those things, like if somebody was having, say, a libido issue, then I might be concerned. Like, let's look to see where that's at if everything else looks good. The other end of things, pregnenolone, I believe that, like I said, that's at the top of the chain, and I don't know enough about that to talk about where its place.
It's the problem is because you sort of circumvent that chain of production, so LDL would be converted to pregnenolone. That doesn't happen anymore because you're going straight to testosterone from your injection, so you don't get it. Okay. Simple as that. Okay. You can, like I say, retro convert back.
Okay. Huh.
So you do get some element of retro conversion back, but it's not massive.
Okay. I'd like to understand that better too, I think, at some point, but you're helping here.
DHEA, obviously, it is produced by the testes, but it's also produced in the brain, and it's also produced by the adrenal gland. So but all those areas are subject to shutdown because they all have androgen receptors that all sense the rise in hormones.
Yeah.
It's generally, I mean, it's sort of concerned with puberty and body hair and those sort of things more than anything else. But I say I'd have to look into it more. It's not something my involvement with TRT has mainly been as a supplement for steroid users rather than actual TRT itself.
Yeah.
So, but I can definitely make a note and do some digging for next week.
All right, and I'm going to try to find some stuff out too. Let's see, we've got enough time here for one more question. Let's see what we can find here up next. So once again, guys, we're over at the forum. If you guys want to take part, all you have to do is go to forum.advicesradio.com. In the bodybuilding section, there's going to be a bunch of forums there. Go to the bodybuilding section. It's like third from the top. You can get into all the show threads. They're stickied in that bodybuilding section. We're in the drugs and stuff thread. We're on the fourth page now. We have four whole pages of questions already lined up. We definitely need more of those. So guys, please send us questions. Last question here is from no, excuse me. Let me see. Wrong guy here. Okay, we've got JZ Bodybuilding. He says, "Hey guys, hope all is going well with both of you." It's the guy who questioned in previous, about his as he puts it, bleeding arse. Remember this guy? He was getting some rectal bleeding. This is a while ago, Dave. He says,
I'm just got that from my memory for some reason.
He says it turns out it was ulcerative colitis. So no cause or cure, only preventative methods. But he has been back to training. And he now knows that it wasn't hemorrhoids, etc. He's 19 years old, natural. Let's see. So just a little update there is what he was giving us.
I'm glad he's on the mend.
Yeah. Let's see here. Anything else to add? Okay, he does have a question for us, too. He says he's never really dieted before and have gone for a carb backloading method. Any advice on where to go when it comes to higher calorie days and some ideas for protein fat meals on my lower days? He says low budget if possible. So carb days, what are we talking here?
Carbs are cheap as chips, aren't they? I mean, literally it's potatoes, rice, pastas. It's no big deal there.
Cheap as chips, I like that.
Yeah. Quite literally, have chips for your carbs, Dave. There you go. Yeah. High fat or fat protein meals, eggs is an obvious one.
Okay.
If we're on a budget, we're probably going to have to steer away from red meats, potentially look at white meat, so we could look at pork.
Okay.
Pork's got a very high protein content as well, so that would help.
We don't use pork very much in bodybuilding, do we?
No, we don't seem to like it, and I don't know why, because it's not stupidly fatty.
Yeah. You could work it in, right?
It is obviously on the edges. I mean, you've got a very high fat rind, but intramuscularly, the marble within pork is not. It's not an overly stupidly high fat content. So as long as you trim it, it is a perfectly viable meat.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I quite like.
It'd be a nice change too, from eating chicken 8 times a day for 365 days a year.
Well, I mean, I've actually got a client with this problem now. He's eating the same foods too much, and now the sight of the food makes him retch and stomach bloats, and he just physically can't eat it anymore.
Yeah.
So, you do want to be varying your sources. You don't want to keep them static, even though we do tend to, out of ease and convenient because of prepping and everything else.
Right.
You do want to try and keep your intake sources as varied as possible to keep a healthy gut.
Yeah. And then, just overall, it's pretty basic, right? I mean, egg whites, you just shop around too. I think it depends on the store you go to. We have a store here, Dave. They're only offering cage-free eggs now. All their eggs are cage-free, and you can get them for like 79 cents a dozen. Plus, there's coupons out there, discounts. You can look online. You can get, online programs that'll allow you to get additional savings. So, if you want
an alternative meat source to red meat is liver.
Ugh, no thank you. Do you eat liver?
Yeah. I used to do when I was on a budget, yeah. I couldn't stand the taste of it, but I still ate it because I couldn't afford the steak.
Ugh.
But the other thing is, I don't know if you do it over there, but in the big supermarket chains over here, at a certain time on an evening, all the fresh meats and meats of that nature that are getting close to their dates are drastically reduced in price.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do that here, too.
So you just buy them and freeze them.
Yeah.
And you can get, stuff at over half price if you time it correctly in the right place. And you just buy it and freeze it. Because you're not going to have to, it doesn't have to have a fridge life. It can be frozen and just defrosted the day before you need it.
Absolutely. You just got to keep on top of that, man. Don't let it sit in your fridge for 2 days before you freeze it, right?
Done that one. Well.
Hey, you know what I bought for a snack in the evening time, Dave? Let me see if I can say this in British. I bought a box of sugar-free ice lollies.
How is that in British?
Ice lolly. I don't know. I never said that.
You say ice lolly in...
I never said that in my life, ice lolly.
So what do you normally call them?
Popsicle.
That's an ice pop.
We call them popsicles. Ice lolly.
You have an ice pop, which comes in a plastic tube, effectively.
Okay.
So it's a frozen flavoured water.
Yeah.
Yeah. That comes wrapped in usually see-through plastic. You tear the end off and you suck it and push it up as you go through along.
Yeah.
We have an ice lolly, which is a frozen, could be an ice cream, could be a frozen water on a stick. That's an ice lolly.
Huh.
Because a lolly is on a stick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our popsicle. That's what we call it, popsicle.
So what do you call the thing in the plastic tube, or don't you have that?
We'll call that a push-up, but that's also a brand name, the push-up.
See, now we have an ice cream like that.
Ah.
But an ice pop itself comes in they usually used to get really long ones as kids that were like a foot and a half long.
Oh wow!
But they're literally just flavored water.
And you buy, I know what you're talking about.
Packs of about 30, throw them in the freezer, and then kids take them out where they want them.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what we call those, honestly. It's not a push-up. Push-up was a different thing that was like an ice cream. So,
yeah.
We
have some to that, but
let me see. I'm going to find one more good word here before we go.
Let's stick one.
Did you say one?
No, my wife was asking about popsicles.
Oh. Hi, Mrs. Crosland.
Hi.
I'm trying to find a good word here. Now I got to make it acceptable with a lady in the room too. So I don't want to say something that's.
You don't need to worry about that one, mate.
Has she ever called you a plebe?
Pleb.
Pleb?
Pleb.
Pleb.
Yeah, she calls me worse than that. A lot worse than that.
So a pleb is an idiot.
Yes.
That's what.
It's a very mild insult.
Okay.
We even have a TV series over here called Plebs.
Really? You ever see that TV show?
Yeah, and it's a bunch of idiots.
There's a show I really like over there called An Idiot Abroad. Have you seen that?
Yes.
I like that guy. He's really funny. Very self-deprecating.
He's done quite a few different things now.
He has. I like him. He's good.
Because he was a mate of one of there's two guys that write the program.
The Office.
The guy from The Office who can't remember.
Yeah.
Brent? Yeah, he plays David Brent in The Office, but I don't know his real name. I can't stand him. He's a prick. But he has a co-writer who's seems to be a really decent guy, and he's a mate of theirs, and they just picked on him to go and do that thing. So they wrote the program and just sent him off because he was the most boring, miserable, moaning twat they knew.
Okay.
And off the back of that, he spun into a whole TV career. So he does all sorts now.
I've seen a couple of his shows. They're really good. What about, I just started watching it, a new episode, and it's like an hour and a half long, choose your own adventure version of Black Mirror.
I've heard about this. I've not seen it.
Oh my God, Dave. It's the most terrifying television show I've ever watched in my life. It's amazing.
It's interactive, isn't it? You pick where you want to go or what you want them to do or something.
Yes. And you got to check it out because the what's happening in the story, he'll actually, I don't want to give too much away, but he senses that he's being controlled by a force outside of himself.
Right.
Which is, I'm just going to say that. There's
so
some
he starts to cotton on that you're influencing his decisions in the program.
I think so, man. I think so.
It sounds like a bit like Truman's Show, just a step forward.
Yes, absolutely. And we are actually part of it because it comes up on the screen. You have 20 seconds to choose. Will he, yell at his dad, or will he dump coffee on the computer screen? Something like that.
So do you ever just go through and choose all the stupid shit?
Yeah. Well, I made a mistake. I've only watched a little bit of it so far. I made a mistake, and it made me go back.
Oh, does it? So it makes you do it again, does it?
Yeah, I made a mistake, and then it screwed everything up, and then he had to go back and start over from that step. So
Did you ever have books as kids where you read the book and you had to make a decision, and on that decision you went to this page or that page?
Absolutely. Oh, looks like I'm losing you, Dave. Looks like we've lost Dave here. I'm not sure if I'm still broadcasting. I guess this is life sometimes, isn't it? When we are doing live podcasting and we are relying on Skype. Oh, you got a power cut. All right, guys. Well, Dave is gone. He is out. He's got no more power. We're going to cut right here. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this live broadcast of Drugs and Stuff. We just put out a new episode of Drugs and Stuff. So if you want to hear what's going on, we just put that out today. I'm going to make a post for it on social media here shortly. But this is the episode that'll be coming out next week. We'll also have this video available. Guys, thanks for tuning in.